Hey there, and welcome back to the Moms Making Money podcast. I am so excited that you are here with me today, and I am stoked to be able to share with you this episode that is a super special episode. And it is an interview with two of our graduates together. After running their own successful businesses for several years, Alyssa and Heidi decided to join their businesses and join forces together. So this conversation is super awesome because you get to hear all of the story behind how that worked out, how things are going now, how they've split up their responsibilities, and so much more. So before we jump in, let me tell you a little bit about them. Heidi Lovens and Alyssa Hempel are the co-founders of Big Little Sleeper Co., a pediatric sleep consulting practice dedicated to helping families reclaim restful nights. With over 15 years of combined experience and certifications in pediatric sleep, they offer compassionate, evidence-based guidance tailored to each family's unique needs. Both mothers themselves, Heidi and Alyssa, understand the emotional toll of sleep deprivation and are committed to empowering parents with the tools and support to foster healthy, lasting sleep habits from infancy through early childhood. Their mission is simple yet incredibly powerful. Parenthood is hard, sleep doesn't have to be. All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in so you can hear this awesome conversation. Alyssa and Heidi, thank you so much for being here with me today and for joining me on the podcast. I'm excited to have y'all.
Thank you so much for having us.
That. Awesome. So let's start with the basics. I would love for our audience to get to know you both a little bit better. So whoever wants to go first, if you want to tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to becoming a sleep consultant.
Alyssa, do you want to go first?
I was going to say, Heidi, do you want to go first?
I'll go first. That's fine. So I was a career nanny pretty much most of my younger years. And then I moved into newborn care and I became a postpartum doula. And my first family was working for a family with twins, and I was in their home, and I just absolutely loved it. And I was with them for quite some time, and they still to this day, their kids are much older now, but they share how they feel like I helped them with that foundation of sleep for their little ones. And having twins was so much for them. They expected like they would never sleep again. And then from there, all my friends started having kids and coming to me asking questions about how to help them with sleep or just day-to-day things, because I had worked with so many families and babies. And one of my friends said to me, "You should be doing this as a job." And I was sort of like, wait, what? Like, that's not a job. And I Googled it and I found a program online. I signed up that day to get my certification, and I just kind of never looked back. I didn't know anything about the business. I didn't know anything at all. I wasn't even a mom yet. And so a lot of my friends would say like, "Oh, well, you'll see how hard this is when you become a mom." And it wasn't. Like, I felt like I had always been looking for what my job was, what my career was, what my passion was. And I knew it was families and babies, but I didn't quite know what until I discovered becoming a sleep coach. And like, I just love talking about sleep so much. I'm the person at the cocktail party talking to the mom in the corner about sleep, and my husband coming over like, talking about sleep again. Or he comes home from work and like, "Hey, I gave somebody your number. Like, we were talking about sleep and I tried to answer the questions, but I don't know. So they're going to call you." And it just like, it became instantly my passion to help families with sleep.
Awesome. I love that. Alyssa, you want to share your story?
Yeah. So when my son was born, I knew nothing about sleep. And I was home with him for the first 4 months. And we did some of like the basic newborn things, like the easy routine and following wake windows and feeding on a schedule and, all those things. And he was sleeping fairly well overnight. Like, I remember some of my other girlfriends at the time, they were getting like 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night. And I was like, "My son slept 8 hours last night." Sorry. And at 4 months old, I was looking at going back to work, and I was going to go back full time into a corporate setting. And I was terrified because even though he was doing okay overnight, he was still waking up overnight. I have always needed a lot of sleep. And I had no idea how I was going to function in my job the next day, how I was going to keep that job. And my biggest fear was like, I wore him for the first 4 months for all of his naps. And I couldn't ask our caregivers to also wear him, like when I was gone during the day, to get him down for a nap. So that was my biggest fear, was like, how do I get him to sleep when I'm not home during the day? And so I ended up working with a sleep consultant from the Cradle Coach. And he slept through the night on the second night of sleep training, which was like, it completely changed our lives. I went back to work the following week. I was able to do it fully rested because he was sleeping 12 hours overnight. And I knew that when I was gone during the day, we had a plan for how our caregivers were supposed to address naps, and it just like completely changed our world for us. And so I started talking to other people about it, and my friends started asking me, well, how are you getting, what do you mean you're putting him down at the same time every day? What do you mean you're moving his bedtime to 6 o'clock today because he didn't nap? And I started to realize like people don't have this information, and this isn't common knowledge for people. So I looked into, the Cradle Coach Academy program, and kind of sat on it for a few months. And finally, my husband was like, just do it. What are you doing? My dream was always to be an entrepreneur. It was always to be a business owner. And so I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. And honestly, I've had some like strange little bumps along the way, which we may talk about later, but I have zero regrets. I love this. I love doing this.
Awesome. That's so amazing. I love supportive husbands because it's not always like that. So that's awesome that he was like, no, you need to do this, because he could tell that that's what you wanted to do. So that's super cool.
Yeah, Alyssa and I are both like very fortunate in that way, that we both have very supportive husbands who, just want to either chime in with offering their suggestions, or just sitting there quietly while we talk through things. And especially working one-on-one with parents so intimately, it's not always the case that both parents are super involved. And so Alyssa and I are both very lucky to have that from our husbands too.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I know that our audience who are listening are probably like, why are there two different people on this conversation? Because that's pretty different or unusual for us. So I would love if y'all could talk a little bit about that and share a little bit about your journey to the decision to combine your businesses and to create Big Little Sleeper Company as a team.
Yeah. So I had started my business about 10 years prior. And like I said, I knew nothing about the business part. I mean, I learned it through the Cradle Coach Academy and my other certification programs, but it just was very difficult for me. I didn't love it. Anytime I would hit a road bump, I would just be like, nah, never mind, I'm not going to do this. And I would pause, or I just wouldn't take care of the back end, so it wasn't running smoothly. And I really have a passion for the one-on-one, for that working with the clients, for seeing the transformation, for connecting with them, like the ideas, right? And the business part was just horrible. And Alyssa and I met through the Cradle Coach Academy in the Facebook group, actually, and we had started talking. I think we decided it was somewhere around 2020, maybe. And we had a friendship that started in there, and then it grew to Instagram, and then it grew to text messaging and talking to each other. And then Alyssa, do you want to share more?
Yeah. So it got to the point where we were really consulting with each other every time we were working with clients. And we found that like if I wasn't able to take on a new client, or if Heidi wasn't able to take on a new client at the time, we were referring back and forth to each other. And our clients that we referred over to the other person had very similar experiences as if they were working with us. So we just ended up realizing that we were collaborating on a lot of things. And I don't even know what year, like 2023 maybe, had this little blip of, I'm going to get my real estate license. Don't recommend that to people. Was not a good idea. And that whole time, Heidi kept messaging me like, what are you doing? We need to somehow combine. We need to somehow work together. You have to continue sleep consulting. You're so good at this. Stop with this real estate nonsense. And
she stopped when she was getting ready to like leave. She's like, no, like I'm thinking about maybe like selling my business. Like, she's like, well, do you want to buy it? And I was like, no, I want you to not leave. Like, this can't be happening. Like, you're my person that I go to. Like, it felt like I've never had a job where I had coworkers, or I had that community at all. And then becoming a mom and feeling kind of isolated. My husband leaves for 2 to 4 days at a time for work. And I was just super lonely. And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to do this anymore, Alyssa? Like I was devastated, but like every month I'd be like, hey, like, what you doing? You want to come back?
Yes, she was relentless in the best way possible, and I highly appreciate that because that was not real estate was not the path for me. And I realized that truly I really missed being in sleep consulting. And I never actually stopped doing sleep consulting. Like I was living and breathing it still. I was just pretending not to, which was kind of dumb. Um, and so I would say probably 9 or 10 months later, like I had passed the real estate exam, I had done all those things, and I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. We both were
And
still
I was over here like,
I was
yeah.
like celebrating. We both were still working in our individual sleep consulting businesses, and we started like duplicating efforts, and we realized, why are we both doing the same thing? That doesn't make any sense. Like we created a collaborative Facebook group together that we would put all of our clients into. And we started both selling the same digital product. And we just started doing the same things. And we're like, why are we duplicating our efforts? We already work together on everything. We already talk to each other every single day. This is ridiculous. And we made the decision to to sunset our businesses, our individual businesses, and create Big Little Sleeper Co. And that was a lot of work.
It was so much more work than we thought. Like we already thought like us duplicating things and both like working on the same thing but parallel. We're like, this is too hard. Like why are we doing this? And so when we closed those doors and opened this, like I think I especially had no idea because Alyssa did just about the entire back end that I kept saying like, okay, are we ready? And she's like, no, not yet. We
No,
have.
the website needs to be totally rebranded.
Yeah. and that's one thing like we really wanted to have things like we tell our sleep clients like you have to have this solid foundation before you can veer from it in any way. Like even a vacation, like we ask that you have a solid 2 to 3 weeks at home to focus on sleep. Naps are at home at their scheduled time. So why are we going to start this business if our foundation isn't super solid? And I know that new sleep coaches might hear something different, like, you know, just get out there and start, right? But for Alyssa and I, we had both already had our separate businesses and we wanted to create this really solid so that we could grow and not have to go back and fix those things and make those changes. We wanted to know that if we wanted to bring on another sleep consultant when we had a VA, we could just bring people in and it would be a really smooth transition because we created this foundation. And that's something that like we owe mostly to Alyssa for creating that foundation for us before just jumping into it. Cause I'm like a jump in, both feet, like don't look. And Alyssa brings me back to reality of no, let's get this right before we jump in so that we can grow and expand.
We push each other in the best way possible, I think. Like we both push each other in ways that makes the other person in ways where the other person is like a little bit uncomfortable, but in a good way.
Yeah.
And I think so much of that too is like whenever we have that self-doubt that always happens. It happens as a business owner, it happens as a mom, it happens as a wife, like in friendships. But when we have that self-doubt, it comes out immediately to the other person. And when I have that self-doubt, Alyssa's like, what are you talking about? You just did this, and this. Like you've already surpassed what you wanted to do. So no self-doubt there. And we call each other out in like a very like goofy, loving way. Like we have yet, knock on wood, we have yet to have any kind of disagreement or like maybe we give a little pushback, but I think because we have really great communication and we don't hold things back with each other, we just say it when we say it. And I think that communication is something that is like truly amazing. It's better communication than I have with my husband probably after 15 years, right? And it just, I think it built because we knew each other in the Facebook community. It built in text messages. It built in phone calls and that like camaraderie between like all of our wild sleep clients that we would like be sitting in their house, like, oh my gosh, I'm in this person's house. Can you believe I'm seeing X, Y, and Z? And Alyssa being that person for me, like, holy smokes, how are you staying there right now? You know, like we just have these wild stories that just bond us too, which is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Having somebody that understands that like what you're going through and the experiences that you're having makes so much of a difference because like you said, like I can go vent to my husband, right? And be like, oh my gosh, like this was the craziest situation or the craziest client conversation. And he's like, cool. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry that happened. But if I were to talk to somebody who has been through it and understands, then it's just so much more of a like meaningful conversation and you get so much more out of it because you're able to commiserate and like talk through it in a back and forth kind of a way versus
Yeah.
just feeling like you're just venting to somebody who doesn't understand and doesn't get
Mm-hmm.
it. So that's
It's like very therapeutic to have that in the moment with somebody else who understands it so well.
yeah, I can imagine. That's really cool. I love that y'all have that. And I love getting to hear the backstory because I was there whenever y'all were reaching out to me in the beginning before you decided to join forces and y'all were talking through, how do we both sell the same digital products and what is the best way to approach this? And I got to see the beginning of it and then I got to see the super fun announcement that y'all did on Instagram with the the newspaper that y'all had that was so
That was
cute, by the
all
way.
Heidi's idea, by the way.
No,
I loved it.
that was our photographer's idea actually. Like we had booked our photographer who she does my family photos too, and she sent me that and she was like, I think this is what you and Alyssa should do. And I was like, heck yeah, how do we do this? And that was really fun. We still have those papers and like
Yeah.
it's just super cute. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great idea. I loved it. So whenever I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know everything. I need to know like how this all happened and how things are going. And so I'm just really excited that we're getting to talk through this. And like I said before we hit record, I think that probably a lot of other graduates have been watching your story unfold and have been seeing what's been happening and have been curious about a lot of things too. So I think it'll be really fun for them to get to hear this conversation and see a little bit of the behind the scenes. So thank y'all again for being willing to share all of that and be transparent and open with that.
Of course. And thank you for helping us in the beginning too, when we had just like all these wild questions. And like I think you had only taken over the Cradle Coach like a year before or something. And so like we were new to you. Like we hadn't gone through the program with you, but you came in and we instantly felt this level of comfort with you and like we could ask you anything and we had all these questions and you were just so patient and supportive and walked us through different ideas. And you were the first person I think we reached out to ask for any kind of support. And that helped our initial, like, okay, we're at ground level, like, where do we go? You helped us with so much. So thank you for that too.
You're huge. Thank you.
Awesome. No problem. I'm glad that y'all felt that way because that's my favorite part of what I do is being able to guide people through things and answer questions and all of that. And I know a lot of people are sometimes like, I'm sorry, I don't want to reach out to you or I don't want to bother you, but I love it. So I'm glad that y'all did. I want to hear more about I guess like the logistics of it. So we know how it works whenever you have an independent business and you're working by yourself. You wear every hat, right? You're responsible for absolutely everything that happens in the business. And I'm sure that there's still aspects of that for y'all as well. But I would love to hear how you break everything up so that you don't feel like you're duplicating efforts anymore and you don't feel like you are stepping on each other's toes or whatever else. So when it comes to like admin work, client support, and everything else that goes into running the business, what does that look like for y'all? How do you split everything up?
One of the really cool things about the way that we work together is that we both have different strengths and different weaknesses. And sometimes they flip flop by day. Just depends on the day and the time of the month. So one of the things that Heidi really loves is working one-on-one. And one of the things that I really love is taking care of our website and taking care of like the back end stuff and getting our email funnels in place and our mini chat automations and like doing all of that kind of like back end businessy stuff. So in the very beginning, we sat down and we made this list of like, you do these things and I do these things. And we tried to kind of stick to that in the beginning. And then we realized as time progressed that we were both pretty much wearing all the hats simultaneously. Heidi kept her one-on-one things. I kind of kept my website as like that was my role. Heidi's responsible for, doing all of our virtual sleep client support, our in-person sleep client support. And randomly, she's our CFO. Thank God, because that's not something I can do.
And it's not something that I've had an easy time with in my own business. Like, I hated that. The night before, my husband and I would do taxes. He'd be like, yeah, your taxes ready? And I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know. I didn't have it organized whatsoever. So when it came to like, I think Alyssa made a spreadsheet of all the roles that we would have, and that was one of them. She's like, I don't really have time for this, and I was like, oh, I got it. And I told my husband, he was like, what do you mean? And one of our good friends came over and sat with me and taught me QuickBooks and walked me through it and showed me his business. And then like a month later sat down with me again and walked me through it. And he's like, you got it. Like, this isn't as hard as you think it is. Like, you just got to do it and you have to practice. And every month it'll get easier. And if it wasn't for Alyssa telling me, you can do this, and my husband and friends, I would have never done it. We were about to have somebody else do it for us, right? We like had reached out to several people. We had estimates, and we were like, oh, this is a lot of money. Like, maybe we should just do it. And I was like, listen, I'll try it for a month, maybe two. If I can't do it, we're gonna have to pay somebody else to do it. And in that time, I figured it out and realized it wasn't as difficult when I managed it every single month and I was really on top of it. And honestly, we were just like, we're not going to pay for this, right? We can figure out how to do this on our own.
The other thing that we do too, like, yes, we had our defined roles, but as we grew, we started to realize it doesn't always make sense for us to only do those defined roles. Like, there are days where one of us is sick or one of us is not able to do something, and all we have to do is just tell the other person, and we're like, oh, that's okay, I've got it today. Like, you don't worry about it, I've got it. And one of the really cool things about the way that we work together that we were just talking about the other day is we don't nickel and dime each other. It's not like, well, I took this yesterday, so you need to do it today. We just do it. Like, this is our business. We're both in this together. The effort that we put in, whether like one day I put in more effort and the next day she puts in more, like, it doesn't matter. It all evens out. It all equals out. Like, we're both benefiting from it, and we're both just here to grow our business together. And I think that's a really healthy perspective to have. And it's same with like when we were trying to figure out, okay, how are we splitting our finances up? Like, since Heidi's doing all of our one-on-ones, does she get, 80% of our one-on-one income? And since the digital products that we have, since that was more me, do I get a higher split? And we're like, this is stupid. Like, no, we're 50-50 on everything.
Like, when I'm in person with a client in their home, that to me it should be just as much Alyssa's as it is me there, because she helped me to create all the back end. Like, she helped to bring that person in. She helped to create that sleep plan. She helps me while I'm there on the way there. Like, oh, I'm nervous about X, Y, and Z, or can you believe that the dad just said this to me, right? Like, she's there just as much. So to us, like, we didn't want to be weird about finances either, and we said that right at the beginning, and we were very upfront and very clear about all of this. And just the way that we talk to each other and appreciate each other, like, every day we're like, thank you so much, like, I appreciate that you did this and this today. And sometimes it's to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to stop saying thank you to each other. Like, we're just doing our jobs, but it like, we do. And I realize that what we have too is probably pretty unique. Like, I don't think that most business owners are a year into collaborating. Like, we didn't open the doors, but like, we started collaborating over a year ago now. Like, our Facebook group is over a year old. Then we started that together. And I don't think many people can say that they have this dynamic that Alyssa and I have, but I think that like, we did create that foundation so clearly together in the beginning, and that's why we have that right now.
Yeah. We both really want the other person to get paid more and succeed. Yeah. Almost to the point where we're like, no, stop. It's 50-50.
Yeah. That's amazing. I would agree with you. I don't think that most business owners, whether it's sleep consulting or something else completely, have that type of relationship that y'all have. So that's really, really cool that you've been able to sustain that and build that together.
The other thing I think with our roles and responsibilities and how much they've evolved is a little bit trial and error as well, right? Like initially I was like, I do not want to be on social media. I am done with that aspect. Like it was too much work for me. I didn't enjoy it. And so Alyssa took it on, all of it. And then we realized like, wait, like people still need to know that I exist. Like it still just felt like Alyssa's Instagram and like not both of us. So that's evolved too. Like we realized we're going to switch off every other day, and those kind of roles have just evolved more, I think, over time. And I didn't expect that they would. I was a hard no, I'm not doing this. But I think like we just in any business you have to try something and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you have to reevaluate, well, why is it not working? Is it because I'm doing it wrong, or is this a bad idea? And that a lot of it was, I think, what happened there.
Yeah. And just doing what the business is needing, right? So like you said, clients need to know you exist, and they need to not be surprised whenever you walk into their home and they were expecting Alyssa. And so, yeah, it makes sense. And I think there's some things in our businesses always that we're not like, it's not our most exciting thing to do, right? Like we're like, I would much rather never have to do that again. But there's some things that we just unfortunately have to keep doing. But it's cool that between the two of you, you've been able to figure out how to balance that in the best way possible and really limit having to do the things that maybe don't bring you as much joy because the other person is able to take that on, and you're able to kind of meet in the middle a lot more than we can whenever we're solopreneurs and doing it all by ourselves, right? Yeah. So I think from everything that y'all shared with me so far, I can answer this question for y'all, but I will still ask how it's been going since you joined forces, and yeah, how you're feeling about everything, how it's been going so far.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we just answered that. Like this is probably the best decision that I've personally ever made. And we joke around sometimes, a lot of the time, because if you want to experience personal growth, become a business owner. Like we have done so much personal growth over the last, 10 months or however long it's been, that I don't think I've ever done this much work, like through therapy and couples counseling, like all the things. I've never put in this much work and grown this much as I have in the last few months that we've opened our doors.
Yeah. And we've chosen to put in a lot of work there, right? Like our membership, our coaching, our podcasts that we listen to, that like all of those things. And then when something really resonates with one of us, we send it to the other one, like, hey, we think you should listen to this. This is really important right now where we are in the business. And I think that helps to align us probably even more too. But the self-growth is honestly huge. I feel like everything that I'm learning from this, I'm implementing into my relationship with my husband, as a mom, as a daughter, the way I communicate with my parents. I feel like all of a sudden I'm like, oh, like I'm such an adult. Like I got this, and I think a lot of that is we dedicate every day to our own self-growth too. And that's really important. And that's a place that I definitely lacked before this. You hear like being an entrepreneur, being like the busy mom, we come last, right? And it's something that Alyssa and I are trying to focus on first thing in the day, or if it's not first thing in the day, making sure it happens by the end of the day, is doing those things for ourselves, for our mind and our body, and making sure that we're really clear on not putting that to the side. I think that's really important too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally.
And it doesn't mean waking up at 5 a.m. either. Like
it does not.
Heidi is not part of a 5 a.m. club. I never will be. I'm not a morning person. We like our sleep.
I read that book. Have y'all read that book? I read the 5 a.m. club book.
No.
I was very inspired for like 5 days, and then nothing since then. Sometimes I wake up on my own at like 5:30 just because I can't go back to sleep, but I would never intentionally do that to myself.
No.
Yeah.
No, we have to like make, put it in our calendar that this time to this time is when we have to dedicate this. But it's not before, for me, nothing before 7 a.m. is
Mhm.
a reasonable time to start your day. So,
Yeah. 7's a good time for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that y'all already mentioned some things as we just talked about the other topics, but is there anything else that you would want to add to the topic of, like what challenges you may have faced as you all made this decision to merge, as you went through the process, and then since merging as well, what has that looked like? Have there been any other challenges that you want to talk through?
I mean, I think we have daily challenges.
Yeah.
Honestly, I definitely don't want to sugarcoat that and make it seem like, running your own business is a walk in the park, because it's not. It is so hard every single day, and you have to show up every day and you have to do the things every day, whether you want to or not. I think one of the challenges that we run into is that we want to grow quicker than we're ready to. And we oftentimes will like dive into something new and then backtrack and realize, wait, hold on, we need to make sure our foundation is really strong before we start diverting our energy and dividing our energy into creating something else and something new. So I think that's sort of a daily challenge that we have, because we have so many ideas and so many ways that we want to help people. And we're really excited about all of those. And it's reminding ourselves that slow and steady wins the race sometimes. And that's, I think, really important. That's probably one of my biggest challenges.
Yeah. I think just not having enough time in the day to get all the things done that we want to do. Sometimes we're telling each other at 6 o'clock at night, like, close your computer, or 9 o'clock at night when we're texting, we're like, stop. We always say, this is a Monday problem.
Yeah.
We can handle this on Monday. We don't have to do this right now. And I think because we both are so motivated and so excited about the potential of where we can go and what we're doing and how many people we can help, that we just like want it all right now. or we realize that we can't, but like we're like, well, let's just go, let's start it. And then, like Alyssa said, we have to slow down to finish working on the last thing that we started. And I think too, because there's two of us now, we have like double the ideas and double the motivation, but we're busy moms too. We don't have double the time necessarily, because we have similar schedules. So that's hard too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think there's a
That
lot
makes
of talk about just taking messy action. And one of the things that we have realized is that just taking messy action doesn't work for us. It puts us into overwhelm. And when I personally get overwhelmed, I freeze. I'm like, I do not know the next right thing. Like, I don't know how to do the next right thing right now. There are no things. There are like 7 million things that I have to do, and I cannot start any of them because I'm too overwhelmed. And so I think part of it is learning what works for us versus like what a lot of the recommendations are out there. And for us, taking the messy action doesn't work. We have to have our foundation be really strong. Um, so it's just a learning process for us too.
Totally agree with that. I think that one of the most effective things that we can do as business owners is try things and figure out what does and doesn't work for us. Because, like you said, there's so much information out there that is like, you have to do this or you won't be successful, or you have to do it that way. And I've tried all the ways, I feel like, of everything and had to realize like, okay, that's not me. That's not how my brain works. That's not how I work. And I have to figure out what works for me specifically. And so, yeah, I think that's a really good point. And I think as y'all were talking through that and the foundation and having everything in place, I think that that's a really great opportunity for us to talk more about the efforts that you've put into optimizing your client flow and optimizing your systems, and what you've done to set yourselves up for success on that front, what that has looked like for you.
Yeah. One of the coolest things I think this is really cool. Heidi might not think this is so cool. So when I opened my original business in 2020, one of my goals was to eventually get into Kartra and be able to utilize Kartra. And at the time, I didn't know how that would happen. It was very expensive and it seemed like, a faraway dream. And in January, we were able to completely move everything over into Kartra, which was like the coolest dream come true for me, which sounds really weird. I realized that. I'm like, we're in Kartra, yay! But for us, because we not only do one-on-one sleep consulting, we also have our digital products, and we want the bulk of our business to be our digital products because that is passive. That's creating like a really strong foundation for our finances every month. And then we can do one-on-one on top of that. And eventually we can hire an additional sleep consultant to do that one-on-one. But because the bulk of what we're doing is that digital aspect, we needed a place to house all of that. And we needed to have a really strong back-end system that includes email funnels and a membership area for people so that we don't just email them a PDF. We have it all automated and they get to log in and they have, this really like this wealth of information when they log into their membership platform that makes them feel, oh, this is a true business. Like we're getting everything that we paid for when we log in here. That was really important. So we have set that up to house all of our bookings. When somebody goes to our website to book a consult with us or to book anything one-on-one with us, that all goes through Kartra. All of our digital products are housed in there. All of our freebies are housed in there. And it's just this seamless transition from our website to Kartra for people. So most of the time, people don't even know that they're in like a Kartra checkout page. We do all of our emails through there. So it's like a one-stop shop for us. I feel like I should be an affiliate for Kartra right now.
I know, you should be.
And
You should be because it's expensive. When we moved to Kartra, there was a little learning curve for me. I think Alyssa was like, "Oh, this is so easy. I got it." And I'm not the technology person, so that it was hard for me, but now it's so easy for me to go in and reschedule someone to look at their intake form before I get on calls. We have a lot of people out of the US too, so we can, or a lot of, one-on-one, so we can schedule Google calls there and have it. It's just all like very seamless for us. And one less thing to have to think about, like, oh gosh, is this working? Or I have to save it over here, or now I have to go back to this other platform. It's very easy for us.
Yeah. It's a one-stop shop, which is really nice because we don't have to use like MailChimp and Wix and another CRM and like all these things. It's just all right there. But one of, I think, the smartest things that we did is we hired somebody to migrate everything into Kartra for us and to build it all out for us. So all we had to do was like a training call with her. And I was able to figure out from there how to create new products, how to implement bookings, how to, do all the things that we need to do in there. And that was huge for us, was hiring that piece of it out.
Yeah, I can imagine because it's a huge task making, like, even just moving a course by itself or moving even your calendar. Like, there's so many things that you don't think about that just takes so much time. And then the email setup and all of that. So that's definitely a great idea. Big time saver for sure. So, I would love to talk about accomplishments next, if y'all are up for that. So, I know that for me, at least, and for a lot of the graduates that I talk about, it's hard to always just like, feel comfortable talking about the things that you're super proud of. But I want to give y'all an opening to share, and I'm guessing I know what this might be, but would love to hear it from y'all, what you are each most proud of in your business so far.
I'll go first, Heidi.
Yeah. I'm just proud that like I have such a great reason to show up every day. Like with my previous business, I felt done. I was just working too hard on a hamster wheel and I was treating it more of like a hobby, because I was also home full time with my son and I wasn't committed. If there was a month that I was all in and I was like, all right, I'm overworked. I'm taking next month off. And I didn't treat it like the business that it deserved. And now just focusing on us and showing up every day, not only for Alyssa, but for myself and for my family, it feels really good. I feel really proud of myself that I'm not giving up, even when we've hit some, I know we talked mostly about all the positives, but we've hit some bumps in the road that old Heidi would have been like, nah, I'm done, girl. Like, good luck, have fun, take the business. And I'm not. I'm still here every day and happy to be here and happy to show up with Alyssa.
Mhm. I'm so proud of us for all the same things, for showing up every single day, for doing the really hard work that a lot of people would say, wow, this is way too hard. I'm not going to do this. I don't have the time. And I'm proud of us for creating the time and prioritizing what is important for us and remembering every single day why we're doing this. And it's not really for us. It's for our families and for our children and for the people that we get to work with. And I'm just really proud of us for continuing to show up even when it's hard, even when it doesn't feel like we want to show up that day, we do. And like Heidi said, that's not necessarily something that I would have done when I had my solo business. I may have done it, but I would have done it like begrudgingly. Or like Heidi said, I would have been like, wow, I had a lot of clients the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to, maybe start a wait list and put them off a couple days or a couple weeks. And we just do it. We show up every day, we do the things, and we really build each other up throughout the process. Like we flip-flop a lot where one day I'll be struggling with something and Heidi's like, I've got that. I can do that for you. Or remember this. And she like builds me up throughout it. And then the next day, like she's really struggling with something. And I'm like, hey, remember what you said about this
12 hours ago.
12 hours ago. So,
and one other thing too I'll add is, like, before I had my newborn guide in my old business, and I was like, oh, it's fine, like it's good enough, like I got it out there, I'm just gonna keep selling it. And I would say monthly, Alyssa and I jump into our resources, and we're, if somebody asks us a question, they're like, oh, we should add this into the playbook, or let's change this a little bit, let's tweak this, let's add to it. And we're constantly evolving and making it better. And that's something really cool that I think it wasn't me before. Like, okay, it's good enough, and I'm working on all this other stuff over here. I don't have time to fix this. And we make sure that the product that we are sharing and that we're giving out is better every single month than it was the month before. And a lot of that too is our coaching. Like we have 2 different coaches, business coaches right now that we're working with. And so much of that is the self-growth, but so much of that is what we want for everybody else. Like we want the next person who downloads something to have an even better version of what we can offer them. And even trying to like change our prices and make our prices affordable to everyone, like that is constantly evolving too. Like how can we put our newborn guide out there for anybody who possibly needs it, whether they have the resources or not? How do we make the playbook affordable if they want no support or if they want some support? And I think that's constantly something that is really important to us, is getting this information out to people who don't have the financial resources to pay for that.
mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really proud of the quality that we put out too. Every time we go back through it, we're reminded like, wow, this is actually really good. And I know there is this thought that sleep training is not a one size fits all ordeal. And the way that we have created our playbook, we have put so much information into it, but we've done it in a way that's like, it's very broken down. It's very step by step, and it's very clear as to how an exhausted mom can start from the beginning and work her way through it. And we created that based on working with all of our one-on-one clients. Otherwise, we'd have no idea how to do that. But we took all of that experience from our one-on-one clients and we poured that into this playbook so that we know what questions to anticipate. We know where people are going to say, wait, I don't quite understand this part of it. I don't quite understand when I'm supposed to do the check-ins or how I'm supposed to wean overnight feeds or this aspect of the schedule. And we can address that right then and there in the playbook. And the feedback that we get on it is I've been reading the playbook like it's my Bible, and it works. And to hear that from people is so cool. And it's so, um, I am so proud of the fact that we have this resource that people can pay $37 or $97 for, depending on the support that they want with it. And they can walk away, and in 2 weeks, they can have a fully sleep trained child who's sleeping 10 to 12 hours overnight. And there's absolutely a place for one on one sleep coaching, and that's why we offer that. But that's not for everybody. Not everybody can afford an $800 14-day package with somebody. A lot of people can afford $37 or $97. And so it's really cool to be able to have those different offerings, like Heidi was saying, and be able to meet people where they're at and give them the ability to still have 10 to 12 hours of overnight sleep without needing to hire somebody personally.
Yeah.
And
That's
what
so
we
awesome.
did with the newborn guide, Kartra won't let you make things for free. There has to be like $1. I think the dollar is the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And so even with the newborn guide, we were like, how can we get this out to more families that are struggling with that foundation right from day one? And so we were able to make a pay what you can in Kartra. So they have the different offers. So you can pay $1, you can pay the $17, or you can pay $27 and like pay it forward to help somebody who can't pay for it. And that's been something that was really important to Alyssa and I too, just to give back to help those people. And we also give a lot of our support away too. Like if there's some people who reach out to us and are like telling us how much they're struggling in their mental health because they haven't slept, but they're a single mom and they can't afford any of it. And we've gifted like full playbook plus support packages, and they're in our Facebook community asking us questions and working with us. Like that's what's really great about the Facebook community, is that people get access to us there every day, even if they're not working with us one-on-one. And like seeing that we're changing lives for people that may not be able to have that, or that like maybe went to a bigger business and they wouldn't give it to them for free, you know? And it's really cool that Alyssa and I are like, we don't have anybody that we have to ask if we can do this. Let's just give it to her. Like, I feel very called to share this with her and change her life. And we get to see that not only like, we're not just giving it to them and never talking to them. She's in our Facebook community and we get to like hear from her and check in with her and answer her questions. And that's something that was really important to Alyssa and I, not knowing how we could give back to our community, but that's also been evolving too, and finding ways that we can offer sleep, which to us is like the best gift that you can offer to a new parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't think about whenever they get into business, whether it's sleep consulting or something else, is that you have to actually care about the people that you're working with, and you have to actually care about the services that you're providing. And if you don't, you may be able to make a somewhat profitable business and you may be able to grow your business to some extent, but it makes such a huge difference, not only in your own happiness and your own fulfillment, but also with the results that the people that you're working with get. They're not going to feel the same way about you if you're just like checking a box versus really genuinely wanting to help and change their lives. And so I love that y'all just shared that. I think it's really, really important.
We have little mantras too, that like even if it's a $1 or if it's a freebie when they come in, or if it's one-on-one, we are like, bless them with sleep. We'll text each other for every single sale that comes into us, because we want to like stop and not only be appreciative for us getting that business and the family putting their trust into us, but we want them to like feel that we are like manifesting this great sleep for them with all of the resources that we've provided them. So Alyssa and I all day long are like, in first thing in the morning when we see those sales that came in on the back end, like we're celebrating them and thanking them, and not just letting them be another person that's purchasing.
Yeah, that's super important. That's awesome. Okay. So this is a question I always ask everybody that comes on the podcast. And I feel like for the two of you, your businesses have evolved even more so than most of the graduates that come and chat with me. And so I would love to hear your perspective on this. But whenever you initially decided to become a sleep consultant, you initially got certified. And I know for both of you, it's been a little bit of time since that happened. But when you first did that, what did you think you were going to need to do in order to build momentum in your business? And then what actually has contributed to your success? Maybe it's different from what you originally thought, and maybe it's the same. So I would love to hear both of your perspectives on that.
I don't think either of us really thought that much about it.
I know I just jumped in. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, this is a thing, and my best friend thinks I'd be really great at it. Hold on. And I just did it, right? And I was already in that field, right? So it didn't seem as big of a jump. Probably for me, it just seemed like the next step. I had no idea whatsoever. Sometimes I feel like I still have no idea. Like, who am I doing this right now? I feel like I just was clueless about what it would take to be successful like this.
I thought in order to be successful, you needed to have a beautiful website. You needed to have like all the back end things, dialed in. And that's part of it. But you also have to talk to people.
Yeah.
You have to, especially doing what we do, you have to put yourself out there and make those connections. And I think for me, that was a little bit surprising for some reason. I was like, oh, I can be social. Okay. And that's something that I've definitely learned is you can't just have the beautiful website. You can't just have like the perfect email flows. You have to also be showing up and making those connections with people. And that's something I have to remember every single day too.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely an introvert and I'm like, I'm going to just do the back end things.
Yes. I'm the same way. Yeah, that makes total sense. I totally agree. And that's exactly how we teach too. And like in our new business accelerator is relationship-based marketing. Like you cannot, as a sleep consultant especially, you cannot have a successful business if you're not building relationships every single day.
And I feel like that looks different though for every business. Like so much of our business does come in through social media, and that's not my comfort. Like that is not where I or always feel comfortable building that relationship, which is so weird because I met my husband online. Like Alyssa and I met online, so like I have these very important relationships in my life that met that way. But for me, I don't always feel like it's authentic online. And so for me, like I love getting out in my community and going to mom groups. Like there's Livermore Mommy and Me, there's Fit for Mom. There's like all of those events that I love talking at in person. I love connecting one-on-one. And so for me, like I still like to get out there and do that portion of it. And we have the social media, and Alyssa's better at the social media and she likes that. And that's like where she dedicates her time. And I try to dedicate it more out of behind the computer, And so I think it's really important that so many people that are afraid of social media, like if you say, I'm going to build my business and I'm going to build it through social media, then you have to show up every single day. You have to have a plan. You can't veer from it. Like you got to be solid. But if you're like, I don't really like social media, that's not where I'm going to go, then you have to dedicate your time to getting out. You have to go to the pediatrician's office. You have to collaborate with other people in the field. You have to go to those mom groups. Just like any other business, you have to put that time in. You can't just expect that people are going to flock to you from one way or the other and just know that you're out there. You have to show up no matter how that is. And pick and choose what feels right for you. If you try something, you're like, oh, I feel so awkward going to the pediatrician. Like that doesn't feel good for me. Then send them emails, then reach out to other groups, then become part of those mom groups in your community so you can be that person that anytime somebody asks a sleep question, everybody knows your name. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Who was that person that you mentioned? That's right. She lives right here in town. I love that. I want to work with somebody. I want to support a local mom. You just have to figure out what that path is. And I know with this day and age, so much of that is social media and so much of that can be easy coming from there, but it also doesn't have to be, I don't think, your only source.
Mm-hmm. But if you choose to focus on social media, then focus on it. Am I allowed to say half-ass?
Yes. Yes, you can.
I was like, wait, I don't know a different word. Don't half-ass it. Like go all in. If social media is going to be your primary source of marketing, then show up every single day, get comfortable getting into stories, get comfortable creating reels and posts and doing collaborations and finding ways to grow your social media audience, whether that's Instagram or TikTok or, wherever that might be. And if you don't know how to do it, learn. There's so many classes out there. There's so many courses. There's so many people that you can learn from. We had no idea what we were doing when we first started on social media, and we learned. And we all have to be willing to learn and continue learning every single day.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, awesome. So before we wrap up, what would you say to somebody who is considering working with us at the Cradle Coach Academy to get certified and launch their sleep consulting business?
Do it.
Do it. Yeah. Do it.
How's that?
We don't have any regrets at all. And I mean, look at how many years post grad Alyssa and I both are, and we still come to you. Maybe the questions that we're asking you have evolved, and we're not asking you, what the wake windows are for a client right now, but we're asking you where we're at, and that's really cool. And I don't know about a lot of other, academies. I know the academy that I went through originally before you is no longer around quite the same way, and I can't reach out to anybody there. And so just having that space and that community, clearly community for Alyssa and I is huge, and it's what's helped us evolve together. And so having your community with the Cradle Coach and the Cradle Coach Academy, to me, is priceless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you both for sharing that. I appreciate it. And yeah, like you said, your questions definitely evolve, but I just think that the community and the mentorship and support is like absolutely key. If I didn't have somebody supporting me, I wouldn't be able to be successful. And I know that everybody in business needs that, whether it's the first day of your business or 10 years later. So definitely an important aspect of being successful in business. So to wrap things up, where can people find you? If you can share your social media, website, whatever else you want to share where people can connect with you.
Yeah, we are on Instagram. Don't look for us on TikTok. That's a whole different, we don't know. Look for us on Instagram.
We're kind of there. We're there, but we're not there.
We're not there. It's a ghost account. We are Big Little Sleeper Co. on Instagram, and our website is biglittlesleeperco.com, and you can find us there.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation with me and share your stories. I know that so many are going to be inspired and excited to hear all of this. So thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us.